Welcome to Secrets of the Stars, where we explore the ancient knowledge of astrology, decode your unique blueprint, and unveil how the wisdom of the sky contributes to your life. I'm your host, Abby Lutis, astrologer, mentor, and sky guide. It's time to embark on a cosmic adventure of self-discovery and understanding why you are the way you are. Let's dive in. Well, hello and welcome back to the Secrets of the Stars podcast. I'm so excited to be back here. I have had a lot going on, I tell you. Last week, I was moving around a lot. For any of you who have been following my story, you know that I am currently house sitting in the Sunshine Coast area in southeast Queensland, and I also live in my van, so I've been moving around quite a bit. The last 3 weeks I've been situated in one place, but the owners decided to come home early, so that left me having to find a new location. It just so happened to be that I had a bunch of things that I kind of needed a space. It was a little bit tricky to do out of my van. So I ended up renting an Airbnb. I ended up camping in my van for a night. It was a real adventure. So that's been really fun. We are up to week 3 in Starlit. I can really hardly believe it, but we are exploring all the planets and we take a deep dive into the personal planets. I'm receiving so much great feedback about this course. The women are absolutely loving it. They are taking pages of notes and they're just so thrilled that they joined. So everyone is just having so much excitement exploring and uncovering their charts and understanding astrology at a deeper level. And I can't be more excited for them. It's just super exciting to watch them go through this process. So I have started a new house sit, and this one is really backing on to the edges of nature. There's lots of animals, and it always takes a few days to find my jam because I'm traveling different distances to get to my places where I go regularly, like my workout space and visiting my friends and doing my groceries. So the first few days take a little adjusting. So we are nearly there. Last night, I ran an incredible presentation, a masterclass on astrology and how to use it for your business to a group of incredible businesswomen. I had so much fun and actually launched a business report. And this is about the timings that you can utilize in astrology for your business. So that was super exciting. And if it's something that you're interested in, you can find it on my website in the shop and it is there for purchase. But let's talk about today because I'm going to be talking about the new astrological year that is upon us and the upcoming eclipse season. So let's dive in. So the Astrological New Year. This is essentially here in the Southern Hemisphere, the autumn equinox. It is the halfway point between the summer and the winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere, remember. So the light hours here are decreasing and the equinox is the day of equal daylight and equal dark hours, essentially. So this equinox in the Southern Hemisphere is a time of balance. It is too in the Northern Hemisphere, but we here are the traditions of this equinox really offer thanks for the harvest while preparing for the approaching winter. So traditional rituals span from lighting bonfires and gathering the fruits from the autumn. And these traditions resonate with timeless connections to Earth's cyclical rhythm. You know, this time has also been thought of the second harvest. Traditionally in astrology, the astrological new year is actually the very beginning of springtime. But because we are here in the Southern Hemisphere, things take a different perspective, and we can always see things from the opposite side of the spectrum. And that's what we do here in the Southern Hemisphere. So it is really interesting because traditionally the new astrological year is Aries season, which we are experiencing here in the Southern Hemisphere. But in the Northern Hemisphere, Aries season, it marks that springtime, okay? Whereas here in the Southern Hemisphere, we are approaching autumn. But ultimately, this new astrological year is marked when the sun moves into Aries. And that's happening on Wednesday, the 20th of March, the start of the new astrological year, and also the equinox. In tropical astrology, this is exactly the same thing. So it is this move from the sun from Pisces into the very first sign of the zodiac, Aries. All right. And, the sun is here to illuminate and bring focus to the Aries areas of our chart. So Aries energy is beginning energy. I like to say, ready, fire, aim. It likes to start before it's ready, which is neither good nor bad. I like to say this all the time. It can be good, it can be bad, but these are just labels, good and bad. It just is what it is, right? Aries is cardinal fire energy, which is about starting things. It's about having passion, and it's about motivation to drive them forward. Aries is competitive and it likes to move forward no matter what, all right? So the sun could be illuminating this shadow side of Aries. If we want to look at the shadow side, then this would include the frustration, the combativeness, the anger, the rage, warlike energy, hot-headedness. So these are the shadow sides, as I like to say. In this time of the Aries season beginning, we are also experiencing the Aries stellium, all right? We have 4 planets in Aries, and so that's a lot of Aries energy, okay? So the other thing that is happening too is there's still a lot of planets in Pisces, and all the planets during this time will be in the 4 signs of Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus. So that's really rare that all the planets are in only 4 signs of 12 from the zodiac. So this really brings a central focus to a very one-sided approach, essentially. So, we are still too in this time of all planets moving forward, all right? So this is still a time where things might feel like they're speeding up. There is energy to move forward, start projects, and take action. This is a beautiful time, the start of the astrological new year. It is really beautiful, and I'm so excited to have these new beginnings come into place. Let's now switch gears a little bit, because a few days after we enter the new astrological year, we begin eclipse season, the first of 2 eclipse seasons. So this eclipse season will go from the 25th of March to the 9th of April. Essentially, those are the dates of the eclipses. I think we'll feel this energy coming in a little bit before the 25th of March, perhaps even when the sun enters Aries on the 20th of March. So eclipse energy is dynamic, it's blindsiding, it can bring about sudden changes, okay? This is what happens. And back in the day when astrologers used to gaze at the sky, or maybe they weren't even called astrologers back then, but the reason why it brings up upon this dynamic energy is because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and these eclipses, yes, they happen every 6 months, but they happen in different ways. There's total eclipses, there's partial eclipses, lunar eclipses, solar eclipses. There's so many different forms, okay? But what would happen, essentially, if you think, or if you've ever seen a total solar eclipse, it completely blocks out the light of the sun, right? And this is for a very short period of time. So it's no wonder that this was associated with a sudden change, because it essentially itself is a sudden change, right? So eclipses have this label with them that represent major endings and major beginnings. Okay, so there are always there are these two categories of eclipses: solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. And a solar eclipse occurs on a new moon, when the moon aligns with the sun, and a lunar eclipse occurs on a full moon, when the earth aligns with the moon and the sun. Okay, so eclipses occur in pairs, and sometimes there is a third eclipse that comes in, but that's very rare. And these pairs of eclipses happen every 6 months. Now, within those eclipses, there's different types. We see the total, we see the partial, and there are a few other different types. So let's have a look at the first one. The first eclipse is happening in March, on the 25th of March. It's a lunar eclipse, and it's happening in Libra at 5 degrees. This is called a prenumbral eclipse, okay? And from an astronomical point of view, this will be visible in eastern states of Australia, Asia, the Americas, Western Europe, and Africa. Okay, now, as I mentioned, lunar eclipses happen when the full moon darkens as it passes through the shadow of Earth casts on the sun, from the sun. I'm going to say that again because I have to have it written down here, and it can get quite confusing when we're trying to think about it. Lunar eclipses happen when the full moon darkens. So the moon darkens as it passes through the shadow that the earth casts from the sun. Okay, so essentially the sun is, I probably worded that wrong. The sun is casting a shadow, and the sun is shining on earth, and earth is casting a shadow, and the moon moves into that shadow. All right. So the prenumbral lunar eclipse takes place when the moon moves through the faint outer part of that shadow. And so that's called the prenumber, essentially. But this is not a total eclipse. It won't have that dynamic energy like most full eclipses have. So it may not be as dramatic in terms of when you're looking at it as other types of lunar eclipses. And, the best time to catch this is around the maximum time of eclipse. So when the edge of the moon is going to appear slightly darker than the other. So the lunar, let's have a look now from an astrological point of view, because astronomy can blow our minds sometimes and get quite confusing. It certainly does for me. But the lunar eclipse in Libra can help in clearing away a relationship cycle that's no longer serving us, because Libra is relational, and this is happening, alongside the South Node, which is essentially the things that we need to move away from. And so, there might be unrealistic relationship dynamics that are happening. Maybe there's not balance, or there's not harmony, or, maybe people are not feeling aligned. They're not feeling mentally pleased or mentally satisfied in these connections. All right. So that is kind of the understanding of this Libra lunar eclipse. There is another aspect that is at play that might help soften the blow of this dynamic eclipse, as I have been saying, and that is that Libra, it's happening in Libra, okay? And not just that, but the planet that rules Libra is Venus, okay? And so we can say that Venus is ruling this eclipse. And Venus is a more benefic planet. It's a more positive planet. And so that is a good thing to start with. What's even better is that Venus is in exaltation in Pisces, all right? And so that's a fortunate position. Venus is in the territory, as I like to say, of their best friend's house. They're not in their rulership. Venus is not in Libra, but she's in the next best place she can be, in Pisces, all right? And to add to that, she's making a sextile, which is a fortunate playful, fun-loving energy at an aspect to Jupiter, the other benefic, the other most fortunate planet. So this energy alone, if we take out the eclipse, it's fun, it's light, it's playful, it's good for joy, it's good for meeting up with loved ones, going on a date, making time for doing things that you love and that you value. It's really about expansiveness and joyfulness, okay? So now you can see this planet, Venus, that is ruling this eclipse is in a very favorable position. I mean, you could not really get too much more favorable if you tried. I mean, maybe if she was in Taurus, her ruling sign, making a conjunction to Jupiter, that might be even better. But this is pretty good, let me tell you. So this story of what is going on with this eclipse season, it's taking place in a longer cycle, all right? So eclipses happen in this kind of 18-month cycle, and this is the middle eclipse of this 18-month cycle. So if you want to look back to the Libra eclipse on the 15th of October 2023, you might be able to gain an understanding about themes that are coming up for you around this eclipse. You want to be paying particular interest to this eclipse if you have points in Libra and Aries that are around 5 degrees, and maybe even to if you have anything at 5 degrees of Capricorn and 5 degrees of Cancer. These are all cardinal signs, and so the energy will be making a hard aspect essentially. So just take a note if that's you. Let's take a look at the solar eclipse that then happens 2 weeks later on the 9th of April. This solar eclipse is happening in Aries at 19 degrees, and it's a total solar eclipse. I mean, I love the astronomical side of this because I actually went last year to see the total solar eclipse, and I'll get to that in a minute. But from an astronomical perspective, this is the first total solar eclipse of 2024, and it's going to be visible. Its path, the total eclipse path, is going to be visible in Western Europe, North America, North and South America, the Pacific, the Atlantic and the Arctic, okay? So this has been labeled as the Great American Eclipse because the path goes directly through the Americas, okay? I had looked into going because I just loved this experience of seeing the total solar eclipse last year. And I was looking into going to Mexico, but alas, we didn't pull that one together. So maybe the next one. Actually, you know what? My big vision is to be running tours to eclipses, to northern lights, sky gazing events, sky events. This is something that has been on my heart for a very long time. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'm going to pop a little a sign up email. I don't actually email this list yet, but I'm gathering people's interest. The next total solar eclipse goes into the territory of Iceland and Greenland, and I would absolutely love to have this side of my business up and running by then. So if this type of thing interests you, travel to seeing sky events and also maybe learning astrology, having a bit of an adventure, definitely come and check this out. Pop your name on the list. When things start to get moving, I will start to email you. Anyway, let's get back to this eclipse. So total solar eclipses happen when the new moon passes directly and exactly in front of the sun. So if you are not in its exact path, you will not see the sun's total eclipse, okay? So it is incredible. A lot of people say, oh, I don't like to be there. Energy is too dynamic, too intense. But I saw my first one last year. I specifically flew over to Ningaloo. It was one of the only places in the world that you could see this eclipse. I think you could also see it in Timor, but there weren't really many places. It really just clipped the edge of Australia. So I think there was cruise boats out, so you could go onto the cruise boat and be in a path. But I was over at Ningaloo, and it was insane. We were in the middle of nowhere in this this huge big kind of desert patch, and it was just a lot of astronomers with their telescope, a lot of photographers and people. This is a real thing. People love traveling to go and see the eclipses. This was my first one, but there were people that had traveled to, 20 eclipses. They'd literally just flown in, even just for the day, to see this event. And it really was cool because essentially this is just a natural event in nature. But, it was like it attracted crowds and there was cheering, and it was just the exhilaration that I got through my body was absolutely incredible. So I learned so much about total solar eclipses. They go through official stages. You have the first contact where the moon starts to cover the sun. The second contact where the full moon, it's not the full moon, but the moon is completely covering the disk of the sun. It's called totality, and it creates this diamond ring effect where you see this ring, which is the corona of the sun, and there's you see what's called Bailey's beads, which it actually looks like a diamond ring sparkling, but only for a brief moment. And you see the corona, which is the atmosphere of the sun. It is phenomenal. I think it lasted for 54 seconds. And, there's like a big countdown, and for the rest of the time, if you're looking at the eclipse when it's not in totality, you have to wear the glasses. But it was absolutely wild. There was cheering and the countdown, and it was such a vibe. So I am hooked, and I'm definitely going back to see another total eclipse. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. Let's get back to this solar eclipse in Aries, because what this means is I believe astrologically this energy is going to be able to help you stand up for yourself and be confident in your self-worth, move out of your comfort zone and start something new. And that might be around yourself. It might be around your individuality, something that you want to do that maybe you haven't had the courage to in the past. And this might mean leaving things behind. It might mean leaving an old shell of yourself behind. It might mean leaving events or people or situations behind. And that's why it can create this dynamic change or this sudden chaos, because you're suddenly taking a stand for yourself and stepping up and owning what it is that you want. This is the energy. Now, you need to take care with this energy, because on its shadow side, it will invoke anger, emotional outbursts, frustration. Unlike the lunar eclipse, this one is ruled by Mars, okay? And Mars is the combative, angry, frustrated planet, as well as the planet of physical energy. But Mars is making a conjunction to Saturn, okay? And so this is like, if you think of Mars as the god of war and Saturn is the planet that likes to contain things, okay? It's pretty hard to contain anger and rage and war, right? So this could be a little more challenging. This story has been unfolding like, the lunar eclipses, but this one goes back to the 20th of April in 2023. That's when the first eclipse in Aries was. This is the one that I saw. So gain an understanding of what is going on, or what themes were going on around that time, April 2023, the 20th of April. So again, pay particular interest if you have any points or planets at 19 degrees Aries or 19 degrees Libra. And again, in the other cardinal signs of Cancer and Capricorn, that's going to be impacting you quite a lot. So there you have it. We got through this episode. I hope it's been insightful. I hope you've enjoyed it. Take a moment to digest it, pop the dates down in your diary, note that the energy could be around, for a month or so, and maybe even more, okay? It's a dynamic, it's intense time. Now, if you're interested in booking a reading with me or ordering a report, you can find all that information on my website. It's abbylutus.com. I would absolutely love to shine the light on your natal chart, shine the light on a forecast for you, or my 2024 reports are still up and there is still so much value. Even though we are in March, there is still so much you can gain from purchasing one of these reports. So that's all there on my website. Go and check it out. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook at Stars by Abby. And until next time, keep shining bright. Thank you for joining me on this cosmic journey of self-discovery. If you have enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and share it with someone who you think would love it. Keep exploring the secrets of the stars, and remember, the universe has woven a unique story just for you. Until next time, keep shining bright.